Recently, wild boar herds have been appearing more frequently in production areas located near natural forests. Fields, farms, and cultivated land have become familiar feeding grounds for them. At first, their appearances were sparse, but after a short period, the herd began returning more regularly. They move along fixed routes between the forest and production areas, creating a repetitive pattern of activity over many consecutive days. Their feeding range gradually expands into multiple cultivated zones, making their presence increasingly familiar to local residents. As the number of individuals continues to grow, the wild boar herd is no longer limited to familiar areas. They constantly expand their movement range in search of new food sources. Old routes are still maintained, while additional paths emerge through agricultural lands. The herd travels farther during each feeding trip before returning to the forest. This expansion allows access to more food sources, but also increases the scale of impact on surrounding areas. Not limited to agricultural zones, the wild boars also move closer to human settlements. They appear around gardens, small roads, and areas near residential edges. The distance between humans and the herd is gradually shrinking as both share increasingly limited space. Unexpected encounters begin to occur at different times of the day. Some individuals react aggressively when they feel threatened or approach too closely. The rising risk of conflict causes concern among residents and increases the demand for effective control measures. Prepare for controlling the herd. The response team surveys the routes commonly used by the wild boars. After identifying suitable locations, circular steel frame traps are installed on open land directly along the movement paths. The structures are reinforced, and the trapdoors are kept open to appear natural. Bait is placed at the center to lure the herd deeper inside. The surrounding environment is left unchanged to avoid suspicion. Once completed, the system is maintained in a stable state while waiting for the herd's habitual return. After a period of observation, the wild boar herd returns to their familiar feeding area. Their movement traces show that they continue using the same forest-to-farmland routes. As they approach the trap zone, the leading individuals slow down and carefully observe their surroundings. However, the scent of food quickly draws their attention. Small groups gradually enter the trap area without noticing anything unusual. The number of individuals inside steadily increases, causing most of the herd to gather within the controlled zone. Once nearly the entire herd has entered the trap area, the system is activated at the correct moment. The locking mechanisms trigger simultaneously, causing the trap doors to shut quickly. All exit routes are completely blocked, preventing escape. The trapped animals move chaotically along the edges in search of a way out, but fail to escape. The steel structure holds firm against repeated impacts. After a short time, the herd becomes fully contained within the controlled area. After the herd is stabilized inside the trap, the response team enters the area to assess the situation. The animals are evaluated before being relocated using specialized transport equipment. The relocation process is carried out carefully to avoid affecting the surrounding environment. Once completed, the trap system is dismantled and inspected. The area gradually returns to a safe and stable condition as before.
Easy system. Get ready, get ready.
Maybe be better if you back to that corner over there.
Come on. Yep, yep. Yep, 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 yep. Yep. Yep, 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 yep. Yep, yep.
Wild boars have become one of the most destructive animals affecting agriculture in many regions. They often emerge at night, tearing up cornfields and damaging pastures in just a matter of hours. Before setting any traps, the control team spends several days surveying tracks, routing sites, and the routes most frequently used by the animals. Infrared cameras are placed along trails to determine when the boars are active and how many are moving through the area. Once enough data has been collected, large steel traps are installed at locations with the highest levels of wild boar activity. Bait is then placed inside the traps to encourage the animals to move deeper into the enclosure. As the team approached the first trap, the sound of metal rattling could already be heard from a distance. Inside, several wild boars were trapped and desperately trying to escape. They charged around the enclosure, slammed into the fencing, and became increasingly agitated when they noticed people nearby. The result exceeded all expectations and confirmed that wild boars were moving through the farmland far more frequently than originally estimated. After handling the captured animals, the team quickly moved on to the next trap to check the results from the previous night.
You don't want to outkill. How many geese did you kill this morning? You were.
After the first trap delivered promising results, the team continued to a second location near the edge of the forest. Infrared footage from the night before showed a group of wild boars entering the baited area. As the last animal stepped inside, the trigger mechanism activated and the steel gate dropped shut. When the team arrived the following morning, what stood out most was not just the number of animals captured, but the size of several individuals inside the trap. The boars repeatedly slammed into the steel fencing, causing the entire structure to shake. After quickly dealing with the situation, the team continued on to inspect the remaining traps.
I've had to jump on.
Moving deeper into the forest, the team checked the rest of the trap sites one by one. Although some locations produced little activity, fresh tracks and newly rooted ground showed that wild boars were still moving regularly throughout the area. Following those signs, the team made its way along a trail where infrared cameras had repeatedly recorded boars traveling during the night. Expectations for the trap at this location were modest, but the outcome turned out to be very different. Inside was a much larger group of wild boars than anticipated, suggesting that this trail serves as a major travel corridor for the local population.
Be hanging out even. Pretty calm.
As the sun began to disappear behind the trees, the team completed its work at the final checkpoint and started reviewing the day's results. Yet one reality remained unchanged. Fresh tracks scattered throughout the area showed that wild boars were still active in large numbers. Even so, the traps had produced encouraging results. The number of animals captured far exceeded initial expectations, demonstrating that the operation was making a meaningful impact. Although the battle against wild boars is far from over, the day's efforts helped reduce pressure on nearby farms and agricultural land. However, not every plan goes smoothly. In another trial, a trap was deployed with careful preparation, but a small error rendered the entire system ineffective. The gate closed more slowly than expected, giving the boars enough time to escape. This was not a victory earned through superior intelligence on the part of the animals, but rather a failure caused by a minor technical mistake. The incident demonstrated that in wildlife management, even a small oversight can undermine an entire control strategy. As the day comes to an end, the fight against wild boars is far from finished. The signs left behind across the fields make it clear that this challenge will continue for the foreseeable future. Even so, the results from these trapping efforts show that progress is being made. Every successful capture helps protect crops, reduce damage, and provide hope for farming communities that face the impact of wild boars every single day.
Let's go see.
For many years, wild boar herds lived deep within vast natural forests. They survived in groups and maintained stable population growth through successive generations. As the size of the herds increased, their demand for food also became greater than before. Traditional feeding areas gradually became insufficient to support all individuals within the herd. As a result, wild boars began expanding their range beyond their traditional habitat. They traveled across various types of terrain in search of new food sources. After expanding their range, wild boar herds began moving into agricultural areas located near the forests. Fields and cultivated lands quickly became attractive feeding grounds for them. At first, the herds appeared only at certain times, but their frequency gradually increased over time. They established regular travel routes between their shelter in the forest and the production areas outside. This made access to food much easier. As the number of individuals continued to grow, their range expanded as well. Residents repeatedly recorded signs and sightings of the herds in many different agricultural areas. Not only did the herds appear in production zones, but they also moved closer to nearby residential areas. The distance between humans and the herds gradually narrowed over time. Unexpected encounters began occurring more frequently than before. Some individuals reacted aggressively when they felt threatened or were approached at close range. In many situations, they were willing to charge in self-defense or to protect their herd. This caused increasing concern among local residents about safety risks in the area. Under these circumstances, controlling the wild boar population became an issue of special concern. To prepare for the control process, management teams conducted extensive surveys of the herd's activities across a wide area. The routes most frequently used by the herds were identified and carefully marked. In open areas, large circular traps made of strong steel frames were installed to contain multiple individuals at the same time. In addition, rectangular traps were placed along narrow travel corridors or in locations with favorable terrain. After the structures were completed, the gate systems were thoroughly inspected to ensure reliable operation. Once installation was finished, bait was placed at the center of the trap systems. After some time, the wild boars returned along their familiar feeding routes. The leading individuals approached the bait area and observed their surroundings before entering. When no signs of danger were detected, the animals behind quickly followed in small groups. The number of individuals inside the trap gradually increased with each wave of movement. The scent of the bait continued attracting more animals deeper into the controlled area. Before long, most of the herd had gathered within the trap perimeter. When favorable conditions appeared, the system was activated at the predetermined moment. The steel gates quickly closed and blocked all exits to the outside. The herd was immediately contained within the controlled area. The trapped animals repeatedly moved along the edges of the trap searching for an escape route, but none succeeded. Numerous collisions occurred between the herd and the steel framework, yet the entire structure remained firmly in place. After a short period, the herd gradually settled inside the enclosure. Once the herd had stabilized inside the trap, the management team approached the area and inspected the condition of the captured animals. Specialized transport vehicles were brought in to remove the herd from the location. After the transfer was completed, the trap system was inspected and maintained to prepare for future use. The area gradually returned to a stable state as the wild boars no longer appeared as frequently as before.
Oh, golly.
Right there, boy. Good evening.
Just a few nights were enough for a sounder wild hogs to turn a large cornfield into a patchwork of churned up soil. Countless rows of crops were ripped out by the roots, irrigation systems were left badly damaged, and steel fences around the farm were punched full of holes by massive boars. As the destruction continued to grow, the landowner realized there was only one option left: launch a large-scale trapping operation. Instead of removing individual animals one by one, the goal was to capture the entire sounder in a single attempt. Only by eliminating nearly all the hogs in the area could the risk of future crop damage be significantly reduced. For years, wild hogs have been one of the most destructive pests facing farms across Texas. They spend the day hidden in thick brush and wooded areas before traveling miles every night in search of food. With powerful snouts built for rooting, they can destroy an entire field within just a few hours. Beyond wiping out crops, they also tear up irrigation lines, grazing pastures, and other vital farm infrastructure. Their high reproductive rate and remarkable ability to adapt to different environments allow their population to keep expanding, making traditional methods of scaring them away increasingly ineffective. After weeks of monitoring infrared trail cameras, the control team identified the route the sounder used every night between the woods and the cornfield. Fresh tracks and newly rooted soil confirmed this was the ideal trapping location. A circular trap measuring nearly 10 meters in diameter was quickly assembled. Heavy-duty steel panels were secured with deeply anchored steel posts strong enough to withstand the force of panicked hogs crashing against the fence. The only entrance was equipped with a remotely operated gate connected directly to the live camera system. The operators understood that closing the gate too early would leave a few hogs outside, allowing them to learn how to avoid the trap, and making future control efforts far more difficult. To make the hogs feel completely safe, fermented corn was spread throughout the trap for several consecutive days. During the first few nights, only a handful of animals entered the feed before leaving again. But after repeatedly finding food without encountering danger, the entire sounder began visiting more often. And staying longer inside the enclosure. The cameras captured groups of hogs casually walking through the gate without showing the slightest sign of caution. Then, one night, the long-awaited moment finally arrived. As the last hog stepped through the entrance and the entire group gathered around the bait, the operator activated the system. The steel gate slammed shut, sealing off the only escape route. Startled, the hogs charged in every direction, repeatedly crashing into fencing in a desperate attempt to break free, but the reinforced steel structure held firm. After several exhausting minutes of struggling, the entire sounder was fully contained inside the trap. At sunrise, the control team returned to inspect the results. More than 35 wild hogs have been captured in a single operation with a combined weight of several thousand pounds. It was considered one of the most successful trapping efforts the farm had seen in years. Removing nearly the entire sounder greatly reduced the threat to surrounding fields and gave local farmers a chance to protect future harvests. In just one successful trap activation, months of effort to defend the farmland had finally paid off, allowing the farmers to regain control of their property. The captured animals were then removed under established wildlife management procedures to prevent them from returning to the area. Even so, experts warn that the battle against wild hogs is far from over because of their rapid reproduction and extraordinary adaptability. That is why large-scale trapping systems combined with continuous camera monitoring are becoming one of the most effective tools for protecting farmland from ever-growing populations of wild hogs.
In the past few years, we've seen hogs pop up in Irving, Coppell, and McKinney, really all over the place. There was even a deadly hog attack in Erath County about an hour and a half southwest of Fort Worth.
In just a few nights, more than 40 acres of farmland in Texas were torn apart by a massive herd of wild hogs. Newly growing corn rows were uprooted, irrigation systems were damaged, and large sections of property looked as if a storm had swept through. As the losses continued to mount, the ranch owner was left with no choice but to launch an unprecedented plan. A giant trap was being built with one goal in mind: capture the entire sounder in a single operation. If it failed, the hogs that escaped would become even more cautious, making future control efforts far more difficult. Over the years, wild hogs have become one of the most destructive animals in Texas. They can be found everywhere, from dense woodlands and open grasslands to vast agricultural areas. As night falls, entire groups begin moving in search of food. In just a few hours, land that has been carefully maintained for months can be completely devastated. With an estimated population in millions across the state, wild hogs are placing enormous pressure on farmers and ranchers. What makes them such a difficult opponent is their remarkable ability to adapt. Wild hogs will eat almost anything, including grains, fruit, insects, and small animals. They can withstand harsh conditions and travel long distances in search of new food sources. A fully grown boar can weigh more than 660 pounds and is powerful enough to damage steel fencing or tear up large sections of ground in a short amount of time. After weeks of monitoring with infrared cameras, the ranch owner identified a route that the hogs use on a regular basis. The location was close to a water source and near the cornfields that had suffered the most damage. Construction soon began on a circular trap measuring more than 30 feet in diameter. Dozens of large steel panels were connected to form a strong enclosure. Steel posts were driven deep into ground to withstand the force of panicked adult hogs. The only entrance to the trap was a remotely operated steel gate. The system was linked to cameras that monitored the site throughout the night. Instead of closing the gate as soon as a few hogs entered, the operator would wait until the entire group had moved deep inside. That single decision would determine the success or failure of the entire operation. Over the following days, corn was spread throughout the trap to make the area feel safe and inviting. At first, only a few hogs appeared. Soon, the numbers grew as they realized food was consistently available. Camera footage showed groups of hogs entering and leaving naturally without showing any signs of suspicion. Everything was going according to plan. Then the night of the operation finally arrived. On the monitor, one hog after another slowly entered the trap. The operator waited patiently. No one wanted to trigger the gate too early and leave part of the sounder outside. The moment the cameras confirmed that the entire group was well inside, the signal was sent. Within seconds, the heavy steel gate dropped into place and sealed off the only exit. The sound echoed through the darkness as the hogs realized something had changed. They began running around the enclosure, searching for a way out, but every escape route had already been cut off. The next morning, the results surprised even the wildlife control team. More than 30 wild hogs had been captured in a single operation. Their combined weight totaled several thousand pounds. It was considered one of the most successful trapping efforts the ranch owner had ever carried out. While it was only one victory in a much larger battle, the capture significantly reduced pressure on the surrounding farmland. With their rapid reproduction rate and incredible adaptability, wild hogs will continue to be a major challenge across Texas. However, smart trapping systems like this are becoming one of the most effective tools available for protecting crops and farmland from the growing invasion of wild hogs.
Texas has been battling wild hogs for decades. These animals destroy crops, tear up fields, and damage irrigation systems in a single night, causing major losses for farmers. Measures such as trapping, fencing, and hunting have been implemented, yet the wild hog population has continued to grow. Surprisingly, the turning point in this battle came not from technology or weapons, but from an accidental discovery in nature. During a survey in the Texas Hill Country, researchers noticed something unusual. In several areas that once had very high wild hog densities, the number of piglets had dropped significantly. At first, many believed this was the result of trapping campaigns. However, the collected data did not support that theory. Something else was quietly influencing the wild hog population. The answer gradually emerged through cameras placed in the forests. Across multiple locations, researchers repeatedly recorded coyotes hunting wild hogs, especially piglets. At first, these incidents were considered rare, but growing evidence showed that the behavior was far more common than expected. This discovery changed perceptions of a predator long viewed as a nuisance and suggested that coyotes could play an important role in naturally controlling wild hog populations. To verify what the cameras recorded, researchers analyzed coyote DNA samples and stomach contents across several states. The results revealed traces of piglets far more frequently than expected. This confirmed that coyotes were not simply scavenging carcasses, but were actively hunting young hogs. The finding quickly attracted the attention of wildlife agencies because it revealed an important missing link that had been overlooked for years. When data from multiple years were combined, a clear pattern emerged. Areas with stable coyote populations consistently showed much lower piglet survival rates. In contrast, regions where coyotes were heavily hunted experienced faster wild hog population growth. This created an unexpected paradox. Farmers often viewed coyotes as enemies, yet this predator was helping control one of the most destructive animal species in the United States. However, relying on nature alone was not enough. Wildlife managers understood that coyotes could slow wild hog population growth, but could not completely solve the problem. As a result, Texas began combining the role of this predator with modern technology. Smart traps were installed on many farms and designed to activate only when nearly the entire sounder had entered, increasing efficiency and reducing the chance that hogs would learn to avoid them. Interestingly, these traps are not activated immediately. Before any capture takes place, operators often spend several days allowing the hogs to become comfortable visiting the bait site while the gate remains open. Over time, the animals begin to view the area as a safe food source and return in increasingly larger groups. Once their caution disappears, a single remote activation can capture dozens of hogs at once. Today, this method is considered one of the most effective wild hog control strategies available. The real change came when counties and farms began working together instead of acting independently. One area would set traps, while another monitored activity with cameras or applied additional control measures. When pressure was applied simultaneously across large regions, wild hogs could no longer easily move elsewhere to continue breeding. Thanks to this strategy, many communities reported major declines in wild hog numbers within just a few years. In the end, the most important lesson is not found in modern traps or expensive control programs. What stands out is that nature had been quietly providing part of the solution long before people recognized it. Coyotes are neither heroes nor villains. They are simply fulfilling their role as predators within the ecosystem. The story of Texas shows that sometimes the most effective solution is not to fight nature, but to understand it and work with the systems that already exist.
Pigs gone wild. Researchers found that Texas has the worst feral hog problem in the entire country.
An estimated 6 million wild hogs roaming across the United States, causing roughly $1.5 billion in damage every year. Millions of these animals live in the wild, destroying crops, damaging infrastructure, and creating billions of dollars in losses annually. Numerous control programs have been implemented, ranging from hunting and drone surveillance to large-scale trapping systems, yet the results have remained limited. In 2021, at a hilly area covering more than 200 acres in Texas, wildlife rangers discovered a puzzling phenomenon: the carcasses of 17 wild hogs scattered throughout the forest. The strange part was not that they had died, but how they had died. Each animal had only been partially eaten around the neck and shoulder before being left where it fell. There were no signs of hunting, no traps, and no evidence that humans had been present. When the remaining tracks were analyzed, the results surprised many people. To understand the seriousness of the situation, it is important to look at the scale of the problem facing the United States. There are currently nearly 7 million wild hogs nationwide, with more than 2.5 million in Texas alone, spread across most counties. The danger lies not only in their numbers, but also in their remarkable reproductive capacity. A single sow can produce multiple litters each year with large numbers of piglets, allowing populations to recover rapidly even after large-scale eradication efforts. As a result, traditional control measures often struggle to keep up with their population growth. Wild hogs are difficult to control because of their mixed ancestry. Today's populations are the result of centuries of crossbreeding between escaped domestic pigs and European wild boars, creating animals with exceptional endurance, strong adaptability, and impressive physical capabilities. An adult can weigh more than 100 kilograms, possess thick skin, sharp tusks, and run at speeds approaching 50 kilometers per hour. They can easily breach fences, tear apart metal trash containers, and knock down obstacles with remarkable strength. Their ability to learn is an even greater concern than their physical power. Wild hogs do not rely solely on instinct. They also remember past experiences. If a trap captures part of a sounder, the remaining animals become cautious and avoid similar traps in the future. A failed hunting attempt can cause them to change travel routes, feeding schedules, and daily habits after just a single encounter. This rapid adaptability gradually reduces the effectiveness of many control methods. The economic damage caused by wild hogs in the United States is enormous. Every year, they inflict billions of dollars in losses by destroying crops and infrastructure. A group of just a few dozen animals can flatten an entire field in a single night. Many farms suffer crop losses while also spending tens of thousands of dollars repairing irrigation systems, pipelines, and other structures damaged by rooting and digging. For many landowners, the greatest loss is not what the hogs consume, but what they destroy. Beyond the economic impact, wild hogs also pose significant public health risks. They frequently come into contact with ponds, rivers, streams, and groundwater sources, allowing waste and disease-causing organisms to spread into the environment. Many individuals carry bacteria, viruses, and parasites that can affect both livestock and humans. When people hear about millions of wild hogs, they often ask a simple question: why not hunt them for food? In reality, the answer is more complicated. Wild hogs in the United States live in uncontrolled environments, may carry dangerous diseases, and must undergo strict inspection processes before their meat can enter the food supply. Now, Let's return to Texas and an unexpected discovery. After careful analysis, researchers confirmed that the tracks found around the scene did not belong to bears or mountain lions, as many had assumed. Instead, they belonged to coyotes. This predator, far smaller than most people would have imagined, appeared capable of exerting pressure on wild hog populations. The finding immediately attracted scientific attention, because if coyotes truly influence wild hog numbers, a decades-long battle in the United States may have found a completely new direction for a solution. If you found this story interesting, leave a comment and share your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more fascinating stories and unusual discoveries from the natural world.
This is your captor speaking.
Across the forests and grasslands of Arizona, a silent battle is once again underway. This is not a conflict between people and nature, but a struggle against wild, feral hogs whose population has grown far beyond control. In just a matter of hours, these animals can tear up fields, destroy crops, and inflict significant damage on farms and ranches. In response to the growing threat, large-scale control operations have been launched, with numerous traps strategically placed along the routes that hogs regularly use. Each trap is only one part of a broader network designed to cover key areas where feral hogs frequently feed and travel.
That way I know.
I just need to drive one T-post to hang the camera on. There's a guy that does a lot of trapping.
No, they don't need a
No, he's just talking about the nylon washer. In 5-foot-tall suites, many acres. What's a beautiful sunset we're about to have over there.
The S-daylight begins to break. The inspection team heads toward the first trap site, located deep within the woods several hundred meters from the nearest farm. This area has long been known for freshly rooted soil and an abundance of recent hog tracks. Even before reaching the trap, the sound of bodies slamming against steel fencing can be heard from a distance. Inside, dozens of feral hogs are packed tightly together, constantly pushing and searching for a way out. The results far exceed initial expectations and reveal just how dramatically the hog population in this area has increased. After dealing with the first trap, the team moves on to the remaining locations. At nearly every site, the same scene unfolds. Groups of feral hogs are confined behind steel fencing, repeatedly charging the barriers in an attempt to escape. Reviewing footage from the trail cameras, the team watches entire sounders entering the traps before the gates close behind them. The sheer number of hogs appearing throughout the area leaves even experienced operators shaking their heads. Some traps contain only a few animals, while others hold numbers large enough to surprise the entire crew. Every stop further confirms that feral hog activity in this region is occurring at an alarmingly high rate.
Uh-oh. Go get him.
Achieving this level of success depends heavily on selecting the right trap locations. Before any equipment is installed, wildlife control teams spend days surveying tracks, feeding areas, and travel corridors used by different groups of hogs. Bait stations are carefully prepared, while infrared cameras are positioned throughout the area to monitor nighttime activity. Only when the entire sounder has entered the trapping zone is the gate activated, ensuring that no animals are left outside. Thanks to this strategy, each capture can remove a large number of hogs at once rather than catching only a few individuals at a time.
God, that's a wad of them.
As the team pushes deeper into the forest, they encounter animals far larger than expected. Some are still young, but several mature boars possess enormous bodies
Good morning,
and remarkable strength. Even while confined inside the traps, they repeatedly slam into the steel panels, causing the entire structure to shake. Watching these powerful impacts makes it easy to imagine the destruction such animals could cause if they continued roaming through nearby farmland. These larger hogs are often responsible for the most severe damage to crops, irrigation systems, fences, and other farm infrastructure.
Yeah.
Stay there.
By the end of the day, after the final trap has been inspected, the total number of captured hogs has surpassed the team's original projections. Large numbers of animals are removed from the area, helping reduce pressure on surrounding farms and agricultural land. While no single operation can completely solve the problem, the results clearly demonstrate the effectiveness of large-scale trapping programs. Without continued innovation, feral hog populations would keep reproducing rapidly, expanding into new territories and causing even greater losses in the years ahead.
You know how it goes.
The feral hog control effort in Arizona highlights not only the scale of an increasingly serious environmental challenge, but also the importance of managing wildlife through carefully planned strategies. Every trap placed in the right location and every successful capture contributes to protecting crops and reducing losses for local farmers. The battle against feral hogs may continue for years to come, but the work being done today is helping ensure that communities no longer have to face the destruction caused by roaming sounders under the cover of darkness.